Hello everyone! Let's continue with our class about mythology. Have you ever thought about the question, what does mythology mean to us? What function does it have to our society? And that is the topic for today's class. Mythology helps to explain the origin and development of certain social customs or cultural practices. Many mythical tales have vanished during long passage of time, while the others survived, many because they fall into the following categories. 1. Some of the mythologies are deliberately advocated by the rulers of the day because they serve to justify their ruling. We all know that myths are full of larger-than-life figures. They are gods, deities, superheroes, and supernatural beings, and so forth. In another word, they obtain a sacredness which is above the realistic entity world, and thus results in the mortal god's relationship of inferior versus superior, and worshipper versus worshipped. Monarchs or aristocrats usually push the propaganda to these mythical figures and the relationship, and in the meantime claim that they are descendants from them or they are their agents in the mortal world. By so doing, they successfully transfer this human god worshipping to themselves to ensure their legitimate ruling. For example, Julius Caesar claims Aeneas to be his ancestor, who was said to be the son of Aphrodite and Anchises, which naturally made Julius Caesar himself the descendant of the great goddess, thus including himself into the royal blood. 2. The second function of myths, closely related to the first one, is to help the rulers eliminate any doubts from their people about their legitimacy as the rulers, and furthermore, to maintain the social order and naturally their control. The virtues and morals possessed by the figures in the myths are expected to be upheld and imitated by the common people, so that there would be no any transgression from them which could be a threat to his power. Thus, the rulers can be happy on his crown, and the common people are happy with the state of social customs. For example, in the Chinese mythical canon, The Vestiture of the Gods, 封神演义, Bi Gan is depicted as a virtuous and righteous sage who keeps advising King Zhou of Shang Dynasty to rectify his ways, despite the fact that King Zhou of Shang has been notorious for his corruptness. Bi Gan's loyalty to his brutal and outrageous king does not save his country, but incurs his own execution by being dug out of the heart, with the king's eerie pretext of curiosity that whether the sage's heart had 7 openings. In this Chinese myth, Bi Gan's death is claimed to result from the tyrannical king and his evil fox spirit concubine Su Daji. But Bi Gan's allegiance and loyalty to his king and country is highly praised, and he was honored by Confucius as one of the 3 men of virtue of Shang Dynasty. Later, Bi Gan was deified as Cai Shen, the god of fortune. Bi Gan is immortalized as a Taoist deity because his blind, unconditional loyalty to the king is what the Chinese feudal emperors crave to maintain their power and rule. 3. In modern world of vast migration of population, Myths helps to identify one's sense of cultural belonging by clinging to a certain cultural group with the shared mythical figures and tales. Regardless of the habitation, one can always unite with his mother culture by tracing back to the shared mythical superheroes and the mythical origin of certain cultural rituals and practices. This sense of cultural belonging helps him to maintain spiritual wholeness by obtaining a cultural collectivism. This is especially true for the Chinese myth and Chinese people. Chinese people who have traveled to many places of the world under any cultural influence can keep their cultural fidelity by embracing the idea of being the descendant of the Yandi and Huangdi, and taking pride in the totemic image of dragon as their cultural glory. Time to review. Question: what are the 3 functions of mythology to our society? 1. Some of the mythologies are deliberately advocated by the rulers of the day because they serve to justify their ruling. They usually draw on the sacredness of certain myths and transfer it onto themselves, thus guarantee their legitimate ruling. 2. Some rulers in history take advantage of mythology to eliminate doubts about their legitimacy as the rulers, so as to maintain social order and their control. 3. Myths help to identify one's sense of cultural belonging by clinging to a certain cultural group with the shared mythical figures and tales. One can unite with his mother culture by tracing back to the shared mythical superheroes and the mythical origin of certain cultural rituals and practices.